A new docuseries tells the story of a CEO turned fugitive, his climb to the top of the corporate ladder, a shocking arrest, and an escape that stunned the world. It's inspired by the acclaimed book Boundless by Wall Street Journal reporters Nick Koskov and Sean McLain. Take a look.
Did I have any inclination of the depths we would have to dive and what we would uncover? I had no idea. What has emerged is a complete re-understanding of Carlos Ghosn.
It seems like the perfect crime.
Ghosn's biggest problem now is the judicial system doesn't forget.
When you say there is a crime, you say, okay, who is the victim? If there is a victim into the whole story, it's me.
The documentary series is called Wanted, the Escape of Carlos Ghosn. And joining me right now is Sean McLain, who you just saw in the clip there. Thank you so much for joining me. Just starting off with this story is just wild. The rise, the fall, the escape. When did you know that you wanted to launch this investigation and write a book about this?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. The story was incredibly crazy in that there was just no information getting out. It just overnight, one of the biggest names in the auto industry just disappeared off the face of the earth. I mean, it was to the point where just figuring out if Carlos Ghosn thought he was guilty or innocent was a scoop in those days. And as Nick and I continued reporting, there was two narratives that emerged. You had one side, and Ghosn supporters were saying that he was the victim of a conspiracy within Nissan to dethrone him. And, on the Japanese side, they were saying, well, look, we found evidence that Ghosn was basically using Nissan and Renault as his personal piggy bank. And figuring out which of those was true was really what inspired this investigation. And I think we found that both things can be true, that Carlos Ghosn could be a victim of a conspiracy, but also looks like he was taking money in an inappropriate way.
I feel like just watching the trailer in and of itself, I was shocked by a lot of what I saw. When you were doing this investigation and you were digging into all of these things, was there anything that really stood out to you? Was there anything that really shocked you? Or at that point, because you were looking into it so much, was nothing really a surprise?
No, I think a lot of things were a surprise. Look, the amount of information we managed to uncover in the years that Nick and I were on this story, sort of really gave us access and a lot of insight into Carlos Ghosn and how he thought about things, and frankly, how these companies operated. It was really, in my career, and I think in most journalists' career, it would be an unprecedented amount of access that we found, behind the scenes meetings and documentation, and to the point where we had at one point the access to the contents of Ghosn's phone where he tallied up his net worth. And one of the motivations that Carlos Ghosn has said for his ouster was a planned merger with Renault. And within his phone, we saw what appeared to be him calculating that he would become a billionaire if the merger went through. So that was certainly one of the most surprising things that we found. I mean, Carlos Ghosn was always known to be somebody who played by the books, who was a great advocate of good corporate governance, and to see him sort of tallying up his net worth within that phone was really quite a surprising moment.
I feel like this story is just fascinating in and of itself. Is there something that you've heard or seen or comments, feedback that kind of surprises you, that people are saying, hey, wait a minute, I had no idea, or just something that kind of shocks you a little bit?
Yeah, I think one thing that I didn't realize, even though I was living in Tokyo at the time, was the Japanese justice system and just how harsh it is. The fact that Carlos Ghosn spent so much time in solitary confinement, and the gentleman who helped Carlos Ghosn escape in a box from Japan also spent 2 years in solitary confinement, and Carlos Ghosn was questioned for months without the presence of his lawyer. I think those things are things you don't expect to find in a country like Japan. And certainly that was Carlos Ghosn's stated motivation for escaping Japan. And I think, a lot of the criticism that have been leveled in Japan in that case have been quite fair, and were certainly surprising to learn.
This is so interesting. We ran out of time already, but I'm looking forward to watching it. Your reporting is phenomenal, so thank you so much for bringing this story to light. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy it and have a lot of questions for you. So watch out for those DMs and Twitter tweets out there, because you're going to have a lot of people come in being like, wait a minute, what did I just watch? Thank you again so much. Really appreciate it. And Wanted: The Escape of Carlos Ghosn is streaming now on Apple TV Plus, and we're going to put all this information up on our website. You were great. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.